In the winter of 1499, a woman stood atop the walls of the Rocco di Ravaldino in Forli, approximately 185 miles north of Rome. The troops of the Borgias, a powerful rival family, were holding her children hostage and threatening to kill them if she did not give up the fortress and her lands to them. But she refused, raised her skirts, and cried, "Kill them if you will, I have the means to make 10 more sons. You will never make me surrender." The tale may be fictitious, but given what is known about the extraordinary Caterina Sforza, it has a bit of truth. One of the most remarkable figures of the Italian Renaissance, Sforza rubbed shoulders with the artistic and cultural geniuses of her era. She defied convention, studied alchemy, and met on the battlefield with the Borgias and other powerful families. Caterina Sforza was a powerful force. She has been called a Renaissance virago, woman who fights like a man, a lioness, tigress, and a warrior woman. One of her more notable acts of defiance was even mentioned by Machiavelli. Driven and powerful, Caterina Sforza sometimes took her actions too far, and because of this, she has also been recognized by many as a tyrant. What we need to know is that she, like any other human being, wasn't only good or only bad. Born in 1463 in Milan, Caterina was the illegitimate daughter of the supposedly cruel and tyrannical Galeazza Maria Sforza, Duke of Milan, and his mistress Lucrezia Landriani. At the age of 4, the Duke took his daughter into his home to raise her alongside his other children. Thanks to Caterina's stepmother, Bona of Savoy, she received a proper education imbued with the humanist spirit of the age. Also, like other girls in the family, she studied military tactics and weaponry, alongside boys. Caterina was a tall, slim, blonde, and attractive girl, and at the age of 10, she was already engaged to Girolamo Riario. By the time she was 14 years old, she was seen as ready to leave her father's home and confirmed her marriage to Riario. Girolamo Riario was 29 years old when he engaged to Caterina. Numerous sources say that he was cruel and rather cowardly, but his status as the nephew of Pope Sixtus IV made him a good choice as Caterina's husband. From the marriage, Caterina bore 8 children, 6 of which survived childhood. In August 1484, Pope Sixtus IV's death caused political chaos as Italy's families raced one another to put one of their own on the throne of St. Peter. Riario was in a precarious position, many factions seeking to seize his lands after his uncle's death. While he was away from Rome, campaigning against these rival factions, Caterina, despite being 7 months pregnant, commanded her forces to seize Rome's castle Sant'Angelo. She refused to cede it, claiming that Pope Sixtus had bestowed control of it to her family before his death. The only person she would hand it over to would be the next pope. Knowing the cardinals feared her artillery, Caterina seized the castle to buy some time for her husband to strike a deal. However, Girolamo couldn't implement an effective solution when the Sacred College asked him to leave Rome, offering in return the confirmation of his lordship over Imola and Forli, the military post of Captain General of the Church, and 8,000 ducats in compensation for the damages to his property. Girolamo accepted, ignoring completely Caterina's plans. When Caterina was informed of the decisions taken by her husband, she increased the quota of her soldiers and made preparations for resistance in order to force the cardinals to parley with her. The cardinals again approached Girolamo instead of her, who took up a position against his wife. On the 25th of October 1484, Caterina left Rome with her family. After Riario's murder in 1488 by supporters of the new Pope, Innocent VIII, Caterina had the chance once again to prove her political skills at her new home in Forli. She acted as regent for her oldest son Ottaviano, who was not yet of age. While in charge, she shrewdly lowered taxes to win the allegiance of her citizens and formed strong alliances with neighboring states through dynastic marriages of her children. She also took command of her army's military training. A few months after her husband's death, Caterina secretly married Giacomo Fio, with whom she had a son, Bernardino Carlo. The passion she felt for the ambitious young man proved to be a weakness. She gave more power and control of the state to her husband, instead of her son, Ottaviano, which led a lot of people to believe that she stripped down her son from his right to rule. Caterina also put Giacomo's relatives in charge of the fortresses defending the city. Ottaviano's supporters did not approve and hatched a successful plot to murder Caterina's second husband in 1495. Unbowed and unbroken, Caterina was not satisfied with mere executions. She not only prosecuted the wives and mistresses of the conspirators, but she also sought out the children, even those in early infancy, and all were summarily tortured and executed. Caterina's love blinded her to the politics that had inspired the plot. It had involved almost all the supporters of Ottaviano Ririo, who were convinced that Caterina had given her tacit consent to the killing of the man who was considered the usurper of the state's rightful ruler. They had wanted to uphold the power of the Ririo family. The massacre which followed the assassination of Giacomo Fio was the turning point, which made Caterina look tyrannical, and lost forever the goodwill of her people. In 1497, at age 34, Caterina obtained permission from her uncle, Duke Ludovico Sforza, to marry her third and final husband Giovanni de' Medici, a member of the powerful Florentine family. She had met him a year earlier, when he came to Forli as an ambassador from Florence. Once again, the marriage would end in death, and she would be widowed, barely a year after Caterina gave birth to a son, Giovanni, the only one of her children who inherited her military skills. Medici died of pneumonia in the middle of a conflict between Florence and Venice. Shortly afterward, Pope Alexander VI, a Borgia, set out to enlarge the Papal States by annexing cities in Romagna, including Caterina's lands in Forli and Imola. Caterina Sforza immediately began expanding her military defenses, improving her weaponry, and creating large stores of food and ammunition in case she was besieged. Cesare Borgia, Duke of Valentinois, stood opposed to Caterina, who had taken up residency at the fortress of nearby Ravaldino, the Rocco di Ravaldino. Son of Pope Alexander, Cesare Borgia was a powerful enemy with major forces at his command. After Imola and Forli fell, Borgia set about besieging the Rocco di Ravaldino on December 19, 1499. Caterina personally commanded the defense with the aid of more than 1,000 soldiers. She refused one peace offer after another, even, as the legend says, at the cost of her children's lives. On January 12, 1500, after a hard-fought defense, Borgia's troops took Ravaldino and captured Caterina. Although she asked to be placed in the custody of the King of France, Louis XII, Borgia did not relinquish his prisoner and held her for 2 years. It was not long before Borgia did send her to Rome, where Caterina was held by Pope Alexander in Belvedere, a beautiful villa near the city. The Borgia Pope insisted on treating his prisoner as an honored guest, in accordance with her rank, but all the attention he lavished on her failed to quash Sforza's rebellious spirit. After an unsuccessful escape attempt, the troublesome Duchess was sent to Castel Sant'Angelo, the fortress she had seized years earlier. After the King of France interceded on her behalf, Caterina was finally released in 1501 and retired to a family villa in Florence. It was there, following the death of Pope Alexander VI, that she attempted to reclaim her lands from the new pontiff, one of the great art patrons of the Renaissance, Pope Julius II. However, both the cities of Forli and Imola objected to her return, so the lands were passed into the hands of a Vatican nobleman called Antonio Maria Ordelaffi. Caterina spent the last few years of her life with her children, continuing her lifelong study of alchemy. In April 1509 Caterina was taken down by a severe case of pneumonia, and at only 46 years of age the Tigress of Forli, who had frightened all of Romagna, died on the 28th of May 1509. The legends say that before her death, she confided to a monk, "If I could write everything that happened in my life, I would shock the world." Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified for another historical video. See you next Friday.